Cool. All right. Something like that. So, anyways, I like that.
Today I am being interviewed on the night train. So we've already gotten started, and just to warm up, the hosts of the show kind of just kind of set the energy for the space in the first about 10 minutes. So they'll be going ahead and doing that, and then we'll move into a more interview format where I'll be talking about my journey. So here we go.
It still shows up as the blue bird, but when you click on the file folder, it has the X. But yeah, it's been missing. Oh, really? The folder.
And just for context, the screen I'm looking at is my Twitter, and there you can see a visual view of the space. You can see who's in it. You can see my avatar there, Creatress, in the black and white, and you can see who's talking. And yeah, that's kind of just a little background in case you haven't been to Twitter Spaces before. You're welcome to join us. The Twitter Space link is in the video description.
More on Twitter. Is there?
Back to the Twitter Space.
I don't know what your algorithm's doing, but that doesn't show up in mine. There's porn everywhere. It's the internet. Okay. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, no, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, no, I get it. Some people buy my art. Wow. You're selling that with your heaving breasts, but then those are also the ones. Those are the ones too. When you click on them and you go, oh well, of course, right? There's following, 3,000 people, but only 4 people are following you. So very, very top of the profiles and OnlyFans link. Right? Yeah. All right. Okay, I get it. Man, I was just outside. I was having a really peaceful moment out there. That's why I played Like Love. I was just kind of in that mood to play that tune today because I was outside relaxing just before the show, and there's these 2 birds of prey. I don't know what they are yet. I really need some binoculars so I can get a good look at them, but I live on the edge of like a valley that goes down to a freeway, but it's a creek valley, and they hunt every night at about dinner time. They've been hunting for like the last month and a half, and I'm just enthralled with them, and they were really, really hunting over top of my house today, so I got to have some pretty good looks at them, so I'm going to have to Google that after, but I don't know, it just put me into one of those moods where I was like, man, what's the opening song going to be, right? And Like Love was just a damn good vibe for that's why I picked it. That was my hippie moment for the because of birds of prey. Yeah. Well, it was cool. It was cool watching nature. Okay. I didn't quite get Like Love from. Well, I don't know, because that was the vibe that I was in. I was out there absorbing it. My feet. I was barefooted in the grass, sitting in the lawn chair with a glass of wine. Looking up at the blue sky, watching these birds. Okay, Willie. Were the birds making love? I could get them there. If not, you know what? We'll just chalk it up to you. But you must have had to have been there. Oh, or it's a Canadian thing. Oh, Willie might be getting cut out. Oh, I think Willie's breaking up. Willie left. Anyways, this morning there was a couple of weeks ago. I started getting our WXAPK started getting some. We were being pinned in a couple tweets by this. What was it called? Music NFT spaces. And so this morning it was really interesting because it's been the last couple of Tuesdays in the morning, and I've been looking and like this, the people that run this space, so it's about music conversation, and they have it laid out, like it goes on, so it starts at like 8 a.m. my time, which is 7 Pacific. Not that I had to say that, but then it goes on for hours, but the space is like broken up into programs, like, and I wish I could listen to it all. I can't hear it all at work, but it was amazing. But I heard this morning they've done over 200 consecutive spaces. So like that's nuts. They used to do them, I guess, daily, and then the realization was that they just couldn't keep that up, so they did them weekly. But they were celebrating their, sorry, did I say 200? 100. Yeah. I think it was their 100th show since they've been doing it once a week. So that's kind of interesting. Oh, since they've been at once a week, so over 2 years, just over 2 years. Yeah. I might have screwed up those numbers a bit. Either way, it was their 100th, and like they've been going for 2 years. So I was really impressed with that. I mean, we've been going just over a year now, almost a year and a half now, I guess. Getting there. Yeah. Heck yeah. But I just thought that was really awesome. Really interesting space. I'll have to check them out a little bit more. I was going to pin it up at the top, but not working.
Was it? Did I hear you right? Was it all music from the blockchain, or?
Well, they talk about it. Like it's a discussion. I didn't hear any music played this morning. I only listened for a couple hours, but it's a discussion. Yeah, no, it's not like the WX8PK NF Tunes concept, but it was really cool. Actually, I'm just going to pin it. This is the one from this morning. I'll pin it up the top if anybody wants to check it out. But it was really cool because like from 9:30 to 9:45, he had what was going on, and then like at 10, what was happening. Like it was like all these different people that were coming up. It was brilliant. It's been different over the last few weeks. I was just really impressed. They've been going a long time, and you and I both know that even doing once a week for a whole year, it hasn't been a total chore, but it's been very difficult at times.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's not difficult to sit up here and bullshit with each other, but it's difficult to line up artists and keep things interesting and try to keep it fresh and
especially when we're doing our IRL stuff as well, considering we don't monetize this, make anything off of it,
and to somewhat stay on topic.
Absolutely, which I too. 100%, which I am horrible for. That's what Willie's good for, is bringing us back on topic. We got a good room in here tonight. I'm really happy about it. We're going to have a great conversation in just a few moments with our guest of honor, Creatress, but we've got to give some shout outs. We got Jay Byrne down there. Thank you very much for creating our opening track that we played tonight. Fendel down there, of course, another wonderful musical talented man that is a friend of the show. Sister Sage down there as well. And hang on, I got to get my screen up here. We have Abel as well, and Dee down there. I thought there are people coming in and out quick, so it was changing quick. But yeah, thank you very much. And of course, we've got 2 unknown listeners listening on the web down there with us as well. Appreciate that as well. Thank you very much for everybody giving us your time tonight. This is the Night Train. We're here every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. And speaking of that as well, next week, next Tuesday, the Night Train, the guest is going to be One of One Neo. Will be our guest next week on the Night Train. 9 p.m. Eastern will be here. So if you want to come back again and visit us, if you like what you hear tonight and we don't offend you and we don't come and check us out again, we're always here. And of course, the spaces are always recorded. They stay on Twitter or X for a little while, but they all are also eternalized on YouTube as well. And usually on YouTube, I'll be clicking around. If we're talking about art pieces, I'll hopefully be putting them up on the screen if I'm keeping in tune with it, but that doesn't always happen.
As you mentioned that, you need to load the spatial.
What's that?
Go to Creatress's link tree and load her spatial.
Okay, yeah, make sure. Yeah.
For tonight's conversation.
Gotcha. I'll make sure I do that. What else did I have to talk about? Well, you were at Pop Lazarus. Our homie Pop Lazarus has been popping up on the old X machine.
Yeah, he's one of those, he never really disappears, but he's kind of infrequent as far as like when he posts things. And he posted the other day a work in progress of the Seinfeld chase piece, George, which I thought was really cool. And he also posted a piece that he did that he's drawing of Greg. I don't know the number sequence after it, but if you guys know who Greg is on Twitter, he's a parody account. Pretty funny. I thought that was pretty funny from Pop Lazarus. Good to see him out and about and around himself.
Absolutely, always good to see him out. I was going to say, and last week we had our guest. Our guest was Texadelic and the Backstage Passengers, which Willie and I are a part of, and that was a really fun event. And Texadelic has been kicking it into high gear. We inspired him last week, and Backstage Passengers and Texadelic is getting some real cool mechanics on the go and getting us going, which is really awesome. He's always a great guy, but if anybody wants to listen to that space, you can check it out on YouTube or it's still on Twitter here as well. Probably still pinned to the top of my WX8BK account, but anyways. What else did I have? Was there something else I was supposed to remind you of? Or was it Pop Lazarus? No, you had something else.
Yeah, so I just want to
Hey, I'm about to talk on this space though. about to be asked a bunch of questions.
Everybody, I guess.
And I'm gonna turn my camera on so I'm
I
live
was
streaming as
just
well.
read the other day, as I tend to do
Oh, I love
sometimes.
you.
And I come across this post, and I will just read the post word for word. Well, minus one or two things. It says, old teacher. This is probably a weird one, but I will try it anyways. I had a second grade teacher back in the early 90s at Blank Elementary. At any rate, she changed my life even in second grade, and I've always wondered about her, or if she's even still on Earth. Blank, blank, ring any bells with anyone? And I went, that's my mom. So I contacted her, and I was like, yeah, that's my mom. She was like, oh, really? I was like, yeah, she's doing great. She's retired. We just got done fishing for a week. And she was like, oh my God, thank you so much, and blah, blah, blah. And mom was just, so great to me and really helped me through some hard times and this and that. I'm like, well, that's really good to know. So I just wanted to kind of read that for everybody and remind you, like, no matter what you're doing in life, you never know who you're going to impact and for how long.
Right? That's awesome.
Wow.
And, just by the way she said in the 90s, when she's got to be my age, she's got to be 40s, late 30s, early 40s. So she's been holding that for the last 30 years about how much my mom has helped her and, mentally and things like that. So I just thought I would share that with you.
I'm happy you did that. That is positivity. I mean, we talk about that all the time on here. Like, you never know when you're going to make a difference. I mean, I know I've said it millions of times. Sometimes I'll do something stupid and goofy or say something for no apparent reason, but you never know when you're going to make that difference in somebody's life or somebody's day. I mean, especially in teachers, making a difference. They make a difference every day, man. They got a hard job, especially if I think about how I was when I was in school. It's like, I probably was the one that caused teachers to have that little flask of whiskey in there for no, that's cool, man. That's a really dope story. That's a good positive vibe. I really dig that a lot. That's really awesome to hear that. And that's was your mom happy about that, to hear that?
Yeah, and she knew exactly who it was too.
Of course, right? Typical dad.
She was like, is that so-and-so? I'm like, yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, that's really awesome. Well, good for her. Good for both of them.
Yeah, I thought it was fun.
That's dope. Actually, the last thing I wanted to mention that I was just thinking about, here we go from positive vibes to just something random. I watched, just before we get on to our guest who's been waiting very, very patiently, I watched a little mini documentary on auto-tune yesterday. And for those of you that don't know, if you think of Cher's song Believe from back in the 90s, she used auto-tune on a T-Pain. If you know T-Pain's famous for...
Honestly, I always immediately think of Jay-Z, the death of auto-tune.
I've never heard that one. But it was really interesting that auto-tune in the music industry was kept a big, big secret for the longest time. I won't say the longest time, for years though. Like it was a program that a lot of recording studios had, but they kept it very, very quiet using it, right? And then like when, I can't remember what the song before Cher was that used, it's just eluding my mind. I didn't write these down. But when Cher used it, they were like, hey, like in the industry, they're like, hey, maybe you should keep that quiet. Like, you just like went deep into that. Like, you shouldn't be really doing this. And so when they were writing articles,
because she used it in like the T-Pain way of like tweaking it.
Yeah, like, well, the full on, like, I mean, prior to that, most people that were using auto-tune just had the settings very minimal, right? So it just fixed very minimally, and it was like casual. But then you can crank the knob up and do that automatic real-time pitch thing where it's like literally picking by the seconds, it's picking different tones that are coming out, so it's auto-tuning all over the place, right? Making you sound like the robot, basically. But so then with Cher's Believe, when they were doing the articles and people were asking questions, like the guys like, oh, it was a vocoder, and we put it through these things, and this is what we did, right? And they didn't say that it was auto-tune. A vocoder is another very famous cool thing where it's like actually a tube that you stick in your mouth. And whatever you're playing, whether it's a guitar or keyboards, the audio goes through that tube into your mouth, and you just Peter Frampton, killer example on it. Guns N' Roses also, Welcome to the Jungle, I think was when they released it. Anyways, so and T-Pain was looking for something new to amp up his tunes that he was making. So I guess there was this ad for one of these old school 90s CDs, back in the day they used to have all these compilation CDs, and it always played on this radio station over and over that he listened to. And there was this one, I think it was Jennifer Lopez, I think he said it was, that used her voice just sounded strange in this one clip they played all the time. So he made it his mission to try and find this. So he was reaching out to all of his hacker friends and everybody he knew that could get him hacked versions of all these different music software, because he was eternally looking for what this sound was. And then after hours and hours and hours of trying every plugin on all of this software, he finally came up with it, and he cranked it out. He's like, yeah, this is it. So he started using it. But then I didn't know this, is that people eventually, Usher was the first one that went to T-Pain and said, yo, dude, you effed it up for everybody in the music industry. Doing this with the auto-tune and bringing it out like that, you've effed it up for everybody in the industry. And then all these people jumped on him. And then for 4 years, I guess, he went into a really deep depression over it. He's like, did I fucked up music? Did I fuck music? But anyways, it was an interesting story. I thought it was kind of cool that the music industry, as a whole, kept it to a little quiet secret. But anyways.
Oh, T-Pain.
I had to go off on that rampage on that.
Had to.
It was really, of course they did, though. You don't want your secrets getting out. You don't want people knowing that you actually sing. Right? No, exactly. And so anyways. I mean, but it's funny because it's like a tool, and it really brings us around. If we want to go back, it's not funny. It's gatekeeping. But what Web3 thinks is, that's right. We're trying to accomplish. Best up here on Tezos. Right? Big friendly Tezos. Anyways, I think we've definitely made our guest wait long enough. One more quick thing.
Have you seen the cashew?
Sure.
Our friends over at Zero X Hulu have decided that they
Oh, dear.
are shutting down shop.
Really?
And they released a statement on Twitter the other day from the founder or whatever. So if you want to know why and all that, go check that out. But
I'm gonna have to check.
that was one of the it's one of the only projects that are really that it's actually shut down. It's actually calling it quits.
That's interesting. Well, I guess it's better than just shutting off the lights one afternoon and never coming back the next morning. That's terrible. I'm gonna have to read that. I'm gonna definitely read into that and check it out, because that was a pretty interesting project they had going on.
Yeah, and they had some great drops. Birds and Empress. Wonder Mundo and a lot of.
Yeah, Wonder Mundo was.
Space.
Yeah. Well, damn. Well, they gave it a good go at a really shitty time. So, I mean, kudos to them for lasting as long as they did. Kudos to everybody in here that's running any kind of project or trying to sell art or doing anything. If you're still kicking around and doing any kind of sales or anything at all, good for you, and thank you for sticking around. But if you decide to check out, we don't hate you for it, because it's a pretty tough world out there right now. But here we are in this nice, warm, friendly space. And with that, I guess it's time we should bring up our guest of honor. She's, I don't know, it's probably still 6 a.m. there or something like that, being on HST. I'd like to welcome up to the floor. You can unmute yourself if you want. This is our guest of honor, Creatress.
Oh, hey, GM, everybody. How are you?
Awesome. How are you doing today?
Fabulous. It's not quite as early as you think, but it is 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon. So it's that beautiful, beautiful time of the day.
See, we could have made it wait another hour.
Right? I know. You're just like, man. So you're on Hawaiian Standard Time, yes? You're in Hawaii?
Yeah.
Damn. I love that. When I went to Hawaii once, and I loved that. it sucked when I wanted to go out late into the evening, and be nightclubbing and everything like that, because it was really super late for me, but it was early there. But I dug the whole thing that it's like by the time I woke up, there was still lots of day left.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. I like waking up and everybody's already kind of started the day. I can just kind of catch up on the news and join everybody, and I get to stay up late for these talks because I actually don't stay up late at all. I go to sleep at like 9 p.m. most days, like by 9 p.m. So, I mean, it's late night talks for you guys, but it's perfect for me.
Yeah, I old guy it up every once in a while too. You betcha, man. 9 a.m. I'll tell you what. On Friday, I went to bed at 7:45. My dog was looking at me. He was like, "Are you kidding me? No. What are you doing? What are we doing in here? This is not the way this is supposed to go." It's all good. Thank you for giving us your time. I appreciate it very, very much. Yeah, definitely the time zone thing works out very, very well. We're not going to cut too deep into your evening, and you still got time. It's awesome. I like it. It works out really, really well. If you don't mind, just give us a little introduction and tell us who you are.
Yeah, of course. So anyone who I haven't met yet, I'm Creatress. Sara E. Mora is my given name. I'm an artist from Mexico originally, and just based in Maui right now. And I'm a multidisciplinary artist, so I'm all about trying new things, learning as much as I can, and kind of incorporating all of the skills I've learned in my I don't know, over 10 years of creating art. And right now I'm focused on VR. I do 3D sculptures and I make them in VR. Most people use a computer, but that hasn't really appealed to my creating style. I'm used to being more hands-on. Kind of started with ceramics. That was my first kind of exploration into sculpture. So yeah, I make 3D sculptures mainly, and then I paired them with performance art as well, and music. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm at the intersection of those three things: tech, art, music, performance. I guess that's 4 things, but yeah, thanks for having me.
I wasn't gonna say, but I was counting. I can definitely count up to 5. That's amazing. Well, I like that you said, well, just those things, just those 4 things. Most of us are trying to figure out our phone. You're deep into it. That's amazing. That's really cool. So you said over the last 10 years, that you've been creating art. So were you not an artistic person when you were younger, or?
Yeah.
A kid, rather, I would like to say. Not that I'm saying you're old.
No, I was artistic, I'd say, and creative. I was making, mud sculptures and sand sculptures early on, just entertaining myself however I could. We didn't have a whole lot of, money for toys when I was young. So I think it was partly, just out of need, and partly just because I was like creative. And so were my friends, we would do things like that together. But yeah, I was a creative child as well. I guess I just mean like more highly focused art making, and finally kind of thinking of myself as an artist, in a more true sense to what I believe an artist is anyway. That is obviously up for interpretation, but and I guess I was, now that I think about it, it's longer than 10 years. When I started actually paying more attention to art was when I was in school in around 6th grade, when I actually had an art class, like specific art class, and specific ceramics class aside from that. And then I had video production as well, all in that same year. So it was all these different types of art making. And then there was also dance, Balinese dance to that. And then there was Balinese orchestra, which is also called gamelan, right? And so I learned to play the instruments. I learned to play the gong. I learned to do the dance. I, got dressed up in the traditional, you know, like performed. Also created my own like video thing. And then also made like paper mache and ceramics, all in 6th grade, right? So that was just like the tip of the iceberg, right? Like just kind of cracking the lid on things further. And then obviously in high school did some art classes, took AP art, and that's when I realized I wanted to continue, like you know what, if I have to go to college, because we've all been told we have to go to college, at least I was being told that in the early 2000s. And so then I realized art was like the only thing that I could really do and be actually interested in learning in college. So that's what I ended up doing. So if I think back, I mean, that was, I guess, in 2009 when I officially started school and started learning. So it's a bit more than 10 years, but yeah, it's been a long time. And I think it's going to keep evolving over time.
6th grade was pivotal for you.
Yeah, it really was. The school I went to was actually called the Museum School. And it was inside this like closed down museum in San Diego, downtown San Diego, which is just wild to think about in retrospect. But that was the most creative and like out of the box school. It was a charter school, so shout out to the charter school system for having just different types of schools for kids.
Well, I mean, that would pump any kid up, right? Do you want to go to the museum school? Yeah, I want to go to the museum school, right?
Right? Yeah.
I bet that shit gets boring after a month though.
What, creating?
No, like being in school in a museum kind of thing.
Yeah, but did you hear all the stuff that was offered to her in grade 6, man?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Will.
That's nice. But that could be offered in an abandoned warehouse too.
Oh, right.
The novelty of the museum wears off pretty quickly.
I don't think I'm going to say much more tonight. Willie's really picking my shit apart tonight.
I'm sorry, man. I was on you for 3 weeks.
I know. I'm bugging you, buddy. I'm bugging you. You're on the part. You're on par tonight. That's good. Well, that's really cool. I didn't get like the offerings that you were talking about that you had in 6th grade. I mean, I really didn't get that until I was into grade 10, grade 9 maybe, I think. And so that's really cool that you had so many avenues, and it helped propel you. And you were like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, super super lucky. My mom kind of went out of her way to find me like a very unique school, because I could have gone to just like a regular, middle school. And I actually did that year for like a couple days. I remember I went to the local neighborhood school, and then I guess she got a call kind of like a week into the school year, like, hey, we actually got a spot. And so she switched me. And that place, I mean, that school had only like 80 kids, and it was only 3rd to 6th grade. So it's very specific. But yeah, I think that changed everything.
Wow, only grade 3 to grade 6. That's wild. That's a diamond in the rough, that school. Does it still exist? Do you know?
Yeah, it still exists, and I think that they've put on more grades, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it's pretty sweet. I feel very lucky to have gotten to do that so early on.
Absolutely. So when did you discover the blockchain and NFTs? Where did that start popping into your life? Obviously not grade 6.
Yeah, a little bit later, in the 8th grade. Just kidding. Yeah, maybe 2016, 2017. I have to actually look back. And that's when I first bought like my first token, I guess, or coin. And I don't remember what it was. I think it might have been XRP, one of those on Kraken. So that was my first kind of like dipping the toe and putting some money in there to see what I could do trading tokens or coins, whatever you want to call them.
Were you coming from like a trading standpoint then? Like were you trading stuff or something before that? And like, let's see what's going on in crypto. Or like how did you find out about crypto and XRP to be able to even make that decision?
Yeah, that's a good question. I had a friend named Dave actually that kind of got excited about it. And I guess he was one of our brewmates at the time, and so he like immediately told us about it and was excited. And then prior to that, I had a friend who had told me about some website he was using to order sketchy things, the Silk Road.
Dark web
Yeah, well, back when Bitcoin started, right? Or not like when it started, but around that same year, like 2016. I just remember one of my friends mentioning buying Bitcoin to have to buy things on this specific website. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, weird. Didn't think much of it. But then my friend Dave, like soon after, was talking about the coins, and he's like, oh, Bitcoin was like this much, and I was like, oh, okay. So I didn't buy any Bitcoin. I should have, but I've invested in these other like very inexpensive, exactly, shit coins, if you will. And then I kind of left them alone for a while. And then in 2021, in January, I was on Clubhouse. Well, a little bit actually before 2021, when the Doge craze happened. You remember when Doge was on SNL? I kind of got back into it before the SNL, drop off actually, because it didn't actually go up. It went up until SNL, and then it went down halfway through. If you guys are watching, I was watching. So I was in there. Yeah, I was in there, and then Clubhouse came out. I went on there, and then NFTs were like all anyone was talking about. So that's when I got like pulled into the ecosystem on the art side. Before then, it was more token focus, and then I realized there was an art component that could be included now. So yeah, I never looked back.
So when you discovered that there could be the art side of it as well, were you in your real life? Were you doing? I say real life. Obviously, this is still real life. But were you doing art and trying to make a living at art before this?
Yeah. That's been the goal since I finished school, was try to make a living doing what I studied. Right. I think that's the dream for anybody. So that's what I've been doing. And January 2021 was right before the pandemic. So maybe no, that was right after, midway through the pandemic, right as we were starting kind of. So I had been out of work throughout the pandemic. I got laid off like everybody right at the beginning. So I had been focusing more on art and figuring out a way that I could, make a living that way. So NFTs came in like right at that kind of perfect moment for me.
It was mint.
So what kind of art were you pursuing or making before you found NFTs? Were you already doing VR art at that point, or were you doing something else?
I was doing mainly physical sculpture. Let's see, in January 2021, I had just gotten my Oculus, right? So at the same time as I get Clubhouse, I get the Oculus. I minted my first NFT, I believe was in April. So I was using the Oculus a good 3 months or so before I was like, you know what, I found a way to make something that I think looks cool, that I feel comfortable minting. And so, yeah, it was relatively new for me, sculpting in VR when I got started. But I also kind of wanted to mint things as a kind of like a diary, like an on-chain diary. And not just that, but to see my progression over time, and I think if anyone were to look through my work, they would probably see just like a nice smooth progression of quality. Yeah, yeah.
That's very cool. When did you? I don't want to jump too far. Whatever. We can always go back to other things. But I wanted to say so. So when you got your Oculus and you started doing the VR creating, when did you? How long did it take before you decided, hey, I can put a video screen behind me and play some music and like bust this out at live events?
Oh, well, it didn't take long because as soon as I first started doing it at home, I wanted to show my son and my partner who I lived with. I mean, live with still, but we lived in a different home back then. So yeah. Anyway, so I found a way to cast it onto the TV in our living room. And just for context, the TV in our living room is actually just connected to the computer. It's like an iMac connected to a screen, a TV screen. It was really easy. I just was able to pull up the Oculus page and cast to the TV so they could see. And I was like, isn't this freaking amazing? And they're just like, oh, okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. And so they were my first kind of like willing or unwilling audience, because they just see me, they've seen me make art, and they know I'm obsessed. So it's not as like impressive to them, I think, as it is to most people. But yeah, that was the start. And then the next thing was just finding a place that would like trust me with like their screen at an event, to do this thing that they never heard of. And that I can barely explain myself. So yeah, that's kind of how that went.
So where was that first event at?
Yeah, that was in New York, November 5th, 2021. So during NFT NYC. And that was the first NFT event that I ever went to. So yeah, it was at a satellite event.
Very cool.
Absolutely, it is. When you go into those events, do you have a idea of what you want to do as far as what you want to create? And then let's talk about it, because also you when you're doing the performance piece side of it, you also use music as well, that I believe I've read. So like, do you pre-make your playlist and have an idea about what you're going there to do, or is it kind of a little bit of just before the show you figure it out, or as you go?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Yeah, so I do have music that comes with my performance. I very carefully curate the playlist to have kind of like a start slow, build up, and then come back down, journey. And I usually have to I make a new playlist every time, because I think I know my music changes, my music taste, my mood. And then I know that each event has a different type of energy. So I try to, have that in mind when I'm creating the playlist. Also, practically speaking, each event has a different time allotment, I guess, that they give me. So sometimes it's 15 minutes, sometimes it's 30. I just recently did an hour one. And so yeah, I make it specifically timed to that, to that time slot that I have. And then in terms of the sculpture I make, I don't go in there with a plan, at least not as to what I want it to look like. I go in there with a concept. And so the concept is going in there and being a receiver and an interpreter for the energy in the room. And so the energy involves, right, everybody's heartbeats, the electromagnetic pulse that everybody is putting out, right? Because that can actually be felt by others, right? How you show up, what mood you're in changes your heart rate, and therefore the frequency that you're emitting, right? So I try to go into it very calm and ready to receive and reflect. So the sculpture is meant to be a reflection of everybody in the space. Not just everyone, but also like the music and the energy of the music as well. So that's yeah. That's the
Do you
concept.
have some kind of like super cool way of like monitoring other people's heartbeats in the room, or you're just going off the vibe and energy?
Yeah, I'm going off the
You're
energy.
You're just in there.
Yeah, and sometimes what I've been able to do now is with the new headset I have, it has a pass-through feature, right, where I can actually, instead of seeing my 3D environment, I can see the people around me. And so now throughout the performance, I'll switch that so that I can literally see them in front of me, and I can create something that's overlaid over my like live view of them. So and then now I'm also, this latest performance I did, I asked everyone who's here. And I asked multiple times. And so people were prompted to say their names. And so I could also kind of take that into consideration. I have this one artwork that I'll pin where you can actually see some of the names from the people that were there. And usually I hide the names, but in this case, I left them more visible, just felt right. But yeah, it's a collaborative experience, and I'm trying to find more and more ways to bring people to be more part of each one.
So, as you're creating playlists and things like that, like my thought is, how long before you start just producing your own music? You're like, screw these songs, I'm gonna make my own music and just basically become a DJ.
Oh my gosh, what a wonderful question. Yeah, okay, the thing is, I already have created music before, not on like a professional level. I did take a music production class in like 20 like 15 or something like that. I didn't do well. I was too distracted. Actually, no, it was in 2011, and that was the year that I became pregnant. So that went out the window. But I did manage to make one song and publish it to SoundCloud. So that's out there. But not only that, I do create soundscapes for for a lot of my videos. But those are made with AI music tools. So that's not the same. I'm like a baby music person. More out of just need for my own content. So but yeah, I mean, being a DJ, there's a lot to it. I know there's a lot to it. I have been paid to DJ actually professionally, a couple times just for corporate events, nothing like a music festival or anything. So like I said, I feel like I'm a baby there, but yeah, I would like to, one day get back into that. I love all of that. I obviously put together playlists, and that's a big part of being a DJ. So I'm halfway there. But more than that, I would prefer to collaborate with a DJ. Like my ideal scenario at this point in time would be to be like a special guest on a DJ tour, and they bring me on and I make live art on stage while they DJ. Like I'm down for that. That sounds a little easier than me like doing the whole thing. But one day I'd be down to do the whole thing too. But yeah.
You are hitting transitions so well that I feel like I already gave you my questions. My next question is already gonna be: is that a picture of you with Paris Hilton on your webpage? And have you did she DJ a show for you or something?
Oh my gosh. See, that's what I would like. That would have been the next level. But yeah, it is her. It's not just the wax sculpture. So that was she actually hired me to do a performance at one of her events. So she debuted what she called the 11/11 Summit, Innovation Summit, on 11/11, 2022, a most special day. And yeah, I got to do the opening. So I did a 30-minute performance, and that was like as people were coming in to the event. And as soon as I finished, her and Randy Zuckerberg had like a little fireside chat on stage. And yeah, it was kind of like insane. I mean, I don't know, the screen, the production people, like the way that they were able to, you know, show my art as a square and then also stretch it out to fit their whole screen, like as I was performing.
much. Like, he's my world. Like, especially over the last year, he's like, that dog is the one.
It's funny because I read something the other day. I mean, I got my
every
dog,
reason
and
to be around and to do things, and it gives me some kind of structure. And then I was reading one thing, like a person was like, you know what, Max, you have 15 summers with this dog. I'm like, damn, why do you say that?
I know, man.
Right?
Tell me, 15, 16 years. I go, no, 6, 8 years max. They were putting her down. Like, I can't live that long. I can't do pain on extra 8 years. Yeah. Get her down.
You know, Willie, next thing you know, Willie's a big suck hole, and he's like, I can't move, honey. The dog's in my arms.
Oh, no, I already did that.
Yeah. Right on.
I got the dog, sorry.
Yeah. And but you guys, you still have the puppers.
Yeah, we have her son as well too. He's 13.
What?
He's almost he's in a lot better health than she was.
I'm sorry to hear that, man. But glad, next life we'll all join up. We'll be up there hanging out.
Yeah.
And even in the next life, I'll be up there, and Willie, you'll be like, "Oh, look, here's the puppers," and I'll be like, "Oh, right on." And then it'll bite my hand. I'll be like, "Damn it, even up here,
Dachshunds.
dachshunds are mean up here too." For Christ's sakes.
Yeah, they're like one person. Okay, hopefully Creatress is back now.
Hello, mic check.
Oh, much better.
Okay, nobody move.
Oh, well, a funny story. The power went out. So that's why. Well, and okay, and my phone doesn't have it doesn't get service where I live. There's no cell service around here. The quote unquote town that we live near is about 5-minute drive. So there, for some reason, everyone's phones work. But here where I am is kind of like the suburb. And so yeah, we experience power outages. And so if I don't have power, I don't have Wi-Fi. Therefore, yeah. So thanks for bearing with me. I hope you enjoyed the intermission.
That was awesome. Everybody here is probably going, "Damn it, I wish I went pee."
Oh, you didn't? Oh my gosh! Come on, guys.
I'm running the show. I know when I can go pee. I'm all right. I feel like Willie will ask a really good question, and I'll grab the phone, I'll turn off the microphone, and I'll run. Except for only once has it happened where somebody's asked me a question while I've been in there having a pee.
Actually, more than once, I think.
Probably. Anyways, I do wash my hands before I talk to everybody again, just so you all know. And, okay, where the hell were we? We were talking.
I have full backup batteries on everything. So when I lose power, it doesn't matter because the internet service provider down the street doesn't have backup batteries on shit. So even if I lose power, I still lose internet. Yeah. Way to go.
This is
way to invest in myself. All right, now let's do it.
Technology making life quick and easy and simple.
That was just like a spectrum moment off my chest.
Earlier today, Creatress asked me to send her the original video from the little promo video that I made for the show. And it took me like 4 times before we got it to work. And I finally had to send it to her through Instagram to make it. I was like, in my head, I'm sitting there going, okay, email, direct message, okay, randomly Instagram. Why did I think about that? That's how you're supposed to send files to people, through Instagram.
Yeah,
What all the big companies do, man. They're in there doing big business deals and sending files through Instagram. Anyway,
you didn't send it through what's their Twitter clone, their X clone, feeds or whatever. No.
Oh yeah, threads.
Right.
No, I don't even have a thread.
What's the sewing app?
Anyways, so just before we had our little intermission, everybody went and grabbed popcorn and all that stuff. Thank you, Creatress. We thought that you were just here and had enough of us. You're like, fuck this, I'm out of here. I have to put up with this. I live in Hawaii, not mainlander. So there's this 1111 energy piece that you have listed up here. Is that something you created for that 11/11 event with Paris Hilton? Was what I was going to ask before we got.
Yeah, before we got really interrupted by the power outage. Okay, yeah. So 11/11 energy, I actually created it during the performance. Like that's what I made during that performance. Yeah.
That's very cool. I like it here. I'm playing with it on the screen right now, and I have it for those folks that are joining us on YouTube through WXAPK. I have it up on the screen, and I'm spinning it around, and damn. So with that one there, and again, that was just like you taking the energy and the vibe, and this is what you created out of it.
Yeah, exactly. And just, for context, this one is one of the first times where I went a little bit more, not as abstract as usual. Like I went in there and I knew that I wanted it to be an abstract piece, but I wanted to have the essence of the butterfly, since that's a reoccurring theme and symbol in my art. And so it's not a realistic looking butterfly, it's an abstract butterfly. There's a crown in there too, which I thought was kind of fun. And then the color palette, I went in there knowing like I wanted to use these colors, pink, which is just one of my favorite colors, and orange, which I think is just like a really fun dynamic that I've always been into. Orange used to be my favorite color as well. And then interestingly enough as well, now you can't see this on where you're looking at it on the 3D, but in one of the videos that I have on my pinned tweet, you can see the background or the 3D world I was in is, it's like a sky with pink clouds. And that was made in AI or using AI, Blockade Labs. And so I basically created a skybox using AI, and then I imported that into VR. And then that was my kind of studio, my VR studio that I created in. And so that shows up in a lot of the videos of the performance. And I made that specifically knowing kind of the vibe of the event, from what I saw on the event, like splash page that they shared. And, they told me a few of the things that Paris liked. And so, yeah, I kind of custom tailored a few of the aspects of the performance, for the event, because I knew what type of event it was going to be. And that's what I do for all the events, honestly. It's just to a higher degree on this, for this one.
Is a color palette, is that something that you would normally pre-choose, or is that something that's pretty standard with you normally outside of what you were just talking about with this piece?
Yeah, the color palette is usually more spontaneous. I think that certain energy carries a different color, especially music. Some songs, have a different color than others. Very, and then people. So yeah, I usually don't go in with a specific color palette at all. I let that be an interpretation. But yeah, in this case, I did want to do something more specific.
You say you set it up ahead of time for all your shows. Have you ever done any that are like more pop up and more spontaneous, where you didn't necessarily have the time to do that and you just kind of had to wing
it? Just like a kind of like a spontaneous show, you mean?
Like she's walking down the street and somebody's like, "Here, I can do a show."
Not really. Well, I did actually do like street art, or my version of street art, in LA in June. Actually, we had this like adventure day with my friend Valerie and my friend Tyler. And so we went to the Disney like Symphony Hall, where that is in downtown. And we, I made some art there kind of on the spot using my headset. And so we didn't have a screen or anything. I wasn't projecting anywhere. Only I could see what was happening, and I was recording it using my VR headset. So I could see, I was recording in mixed reality, so I could see the street, I could see people walking around, and then I was making a sculpture kind of overlay on that. So that one, that was that. And then also, I guess there was one more, but it wasn't like someone was like, hey, do this. It was more like me, like, oh, this is a really cool place to, make some art, kind of impromptu. And the other one was also June, that same trip to California. We chartered a yacht, actually, a bunch of our friends, we all got together, pitched in, and we went to watch a concert from the water. So there's this venue in San Diego called the Shell, and it's right on the water by Seaport Village, behind the convention center, and you can watch it. You can see it from the water. So we camped out. I guess I shouldn't say camped out. We anchored in front of it and hung out there for a few hours. And so I brought my headset, of course, because I'm a nerd and I take it everywhere. And so I did some impromptu stuff while we were watching the concert. And I've got some videos. I haven't shared much of it because it's not the best quality. It was, at dusk and things. But yeah, that's kind of some things I've done. This is way too niche for someone to just be like, oh yeah, we have a VR headset and the thing. Why don't you just come on? I don't know if that's ever gonna happen.
No, I had a feeling that you carry it around with you. It's your tool. It's your pencil, right?
Yeah.
Brushes. So I had a feeling that like anywhere you went, you might have that at least in the hotel room or someplace somewhat handy. This is where I go. Oh. Be cool if you had like an anchor, like a AMKDR, like portable power pack, and a little Pico projector. Carry that around with you too. Boom! Instant setup. Project it up onto a wall.
Yeah.
Street art, all right, which would be really cool. You imagine being like in the Pantheon or something like that, being in the Coliseum in Rome, and you can just like bam up there on the friggin'. That would be cool.
I'm all about it. I actually did buy a projector and I have it. I just haven't taken it out to like do that. I guess what I still need is a power bank. That's kind of what's holding me back. So once I get a little, portable, what is it called? Power generator, I guess. Yeah, I could do that. But I'm halfway there, or 2/3 of the way. I've got the headset and I've got the projector. So we're building up, y'all.
Oh, love it. Let's keep going now, right? Just to kind of go back just a little bit, when you bought your first VR headset, sorry if you did mention this when you talked about that a little earlier, but why did you buy it? Is it because you wanted to try sculpting in VR?
Yeah.
Wanted to play video games?
No, pretty much. Yeah, I saw a commercial where somebody was sculpting in VR. It was probably an Oculus commercial, just showing like the different things you could do on it. And I was like, oh, you can make art on it. Like, I want it. I want that. Like, I want to try it. Because like I said, I'm a total art nerd. I just want to learn every type of art, like to me, that's exciting. So yeah, that's what I got it for. I'm not really a gamer. To be honest, I have a few games and my son plays them. In fact, my son is right now using my projector in his room to play his Nintendo Switch with his friends.
Is he playing Zelda?
No, but he did just get Zelda. He just got that game for his birthday this month. No, I think he's playing Fortnite. He's got a few friends and they play Fortnite mainly. Yeah.
Right. But honestly, even though you don't play video games, I'm sure there's a lot of guys in this world who are, damn, the woman's bought herself a headset. Like, that's so awesome. It's like if I gave, any of my past women in my lives, whether it's my sister or anybody else, they'd be like, yeah, right, no. Yeah, we all remember Nintendo and how that, or the Wii, and how that went. We're going to end up breaking lamps, and it's going to be...
Oh my gosh.
Wii videos were fun.
Yeah, the Wii. See, I've been through it all. I was there for the Wii. I was there for the Kinect. I've been following along on this whole journey. I'm into it for sure. DDR, you guys remember Dance Dance Revolution? That was like way before. Okay, DDR walked so that Connect and VR could run, Beat Saber could come about.
True. Dance Dance Revolution, man, I was a total disaster. I was just a disaster. I so badly wanted to be like the people that you watched playing it, but I was the whitest white dude that you could ever have playing Dance Dance Revolution, man. Terrible.
So speaking of the Wii and Kinect and all those, did you ever try any of the other like art games? We'll call them that those systems offer.
Oh, I don't know about calling them art games, but well, I'll go with it. Yeah, I have actually. I tried. Okay, let's see. The first other one I tried was the spray painting app, which is called Graffiti. God, I can't remember right now. But you basically you go in there. It's a different VR environments where there's a wall and you have all these spray cans and you can graffiti. It's really cool. Or street art, however you want to classify it. And then you can do it with people. So I remember the first time I went, there was like a kid in the lobby, and he's like, "Oh, you want me to show you how to like do this?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." This is my first time, and so he's like, "Oh, all right, add me as a friend, and I'll portal us to my favorite spot." And I was like, "All right, cool." And yeah, it showed me how to use the different tools they had. They have different tips you can use, all sorts of fun stuff. So I've tried that. Oh, King Spray Graffiti. That's the name of that app. And then I also tried Multi-Brush. That was cool. You can have like little effects, different sparkle motion things to your sculptures. So I liked that, but it was a little, I don't know, the UI wasn't my favorite, so I didn't really use that much. And then another one I've used is Vermilion. And on Vermilion, you are painting in VR. And it's actually really fancy how they set it up, because you have an easel and it's got all the like knobs and whistles of a real easel. Like you can, bend, like fold it back a little bit so it's like not straight, like at a 90-degree angle. You can have it like a 45 or whatever angle you want. That's comfortable for painting in VR. And then you have like your brushes and your palette, and you can kind of adjust exactly where the palette sits on your left or your right. You want it a little higher. You can have a reference image. It's really nice. And
Can you put a 3D Bob Ross in there to just like chill with you?
I'm gonna tell them that's next level. But yeah, no, it's cool. I used to do painting. Like I took oil painting and acrylics and watercolor and all the things. But yeah, so I like that romantic part of it, with the easel and the paints and all that. Yeah.
Okay, but that wasn't the intent of my question. What I meant to ask was along the lines of other games, like so the Wii had games that were painting. The Kinect, I'm sure, didn't have a Kinect. But going all the way back to Super Nintendo had Mario Paint, which came with a little mouse and was like basically MS Paint only for the Super Nintendo. So going back to other older consoles, did you ever use any of those growing up?
Okay.
Not just in VR.
I see what you're saying. Okay, sorry for digressing down the VR route.
No, it was a great answer.
Okay. Yeah, no, I didn't really do. I mean, I did do just regular gaming. I never did really any art making on games that I can think of. I mean, I'm sure I did at some point, but I can't think of anything right now. Yeah, I mean, I had a Nintendo GameCube, and I had Zelda on there, and I had Monkey Ball. If anyone ever played Monkey Ball, that was interesting. Yeah. But other than that, I didn't have any consoles. I didn't have much in terms of those things. I did play with the Kinect, and I played like Wii Sports, boxing, and tennis and all that stuff. But yeah, I can't think of any art games that I played prior to VR.
Okay.
I like that we called them art games, but I guess what else would you call them? Because I mean, back then they weren't apps, right?
Yeah.
And art games. Let's make art fun. Let's make an art game. And I also want to say we had to have a public service announcement. I mean, in VR worlds, you know, when some kid comes up to you and says, "Hey, follow me. I'll go show you." You got to be careful. Let somebody know where you're going in those VR worlds.
Yeah. It depends on where you're at.
Yeah, that's a good way to lose your wallet.
Right?
And nothing we say here is financial or legal advice.
Yeah.
VR. Well, maybe VR advice. We do. Seems like we have a professional VR person here, so we might be okay.
Sure. Sure. I do want to say before I forget, I made a badge while we're here. I made a badge for everybody who's listening, so you can claim it just while the space is happening. So I just pinned that to the top. So if anybody wants a badge, and just so y'all know, I did use the flyer you guys made, and I just added some butterflies to it. So hopefully that's okay.
Of course.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's awesome. I just clicked on that now. Woo. Exciting.
Woo.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you very much. So, folks, jump on that. Heck yeah. No, that's wicked. I appreciate that very much. Anytime somebody uses some of my low budget, Photoshop and it puts it into something else, it excites me. Butterflies, just because you brought it up there, what's the significance with butterflies? You just like them? Is there some deeper meaning to them for you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, who doesn't love butterflies? Although actually, I guess some people are scared of butterflies. I heard that's a phobia, not a common one. But anyway, yeah, the butterfly symbology kind of goes way back in my life. At first, it was my grandmother Pilar on my dad's side. She would always wear butterflies, always had like butterfly jewelry or butterfly decorations in her home. And so growing up, I always just was associated butterflies with my grandmother. And then when I was 10, I went to visit my grandmother for the summer, and she took me to this anthropology museum where I saw a huge, like I'm talking thousands of butterflies and insects in these like really cool cases that had been left behind by my great grandfather, her dad. So he was totally obsessed with insects and the study of animals in the region that they live in, and like classifying them and taking notes and all these really cool things, and so much so that he left a whole collection to the anthropology museum of the state that he lived in, which is Mexico State. There's like a state called Mexico in Mexico, and so weird, I know, but and so I got to see that, and I was completely amazed. I'm like, I didn't even know about my great grandfather at the time until I showed up there and saw that. And so that's kind of the second kind of layer of the butterflies. I was like, oh, no wonder my grandma likes butterflies. Like that makes sense. Her dad was obsessed, and he showed her how to place them in frames and make art out of their wings. And then he also even made art from hummingbird feathers. Like he'd find hummingbirds on his travels. Yeah, dude, a whole thing. It's a whole thing. It goes deep. So that's where the butterflies come from. And I wanted to bring butterflies into VR because in my mind, I think we all carry, a part of our ancestors, and there's a reason why we're drawn to things. And sometimes it's because our ancestors were also. And we're just like new iterations, right? Like, and so the butterfly coming into VR was just bringing it to a whole new dimension, a whole new reality. That's what it is.
Damn, that's a good, cool story. That's awesome. I could imagine what that was like as a child to see something like that. All those bugs, which are amazing. Like, I mean, we say, oh, just bugs or insects or whatever, but it's like, a lot of people, some people are like, they're just bugs. But it's like when you get to look at them like that, there's some amazing things, like the colors and the sheens and different shapes and sizes of all sorts of insects, especially when you're somewhere more tropical, is just like, it's mind-blowing. And to see them presented like that, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was pretty mind-blowing at the time. And then, that was when I was 10, and maybe, 2 years later, or about a year later, I started the museum school, 6th grade, right? Around that time, we were like 11, 12 in 6th grade. So, yeah, a lot of things started kind of brewing up, and the whole idea of like, oh, maybe being an artist is something I could maybe do one day. So, yeah.
Once again, that time frame, 6th grade, that's where it all changed.
Yeah. Well, I'll say one more thing. In 2001, which was right around that time when I was 10, that same year, we moved from Rosarito, Mexico, to San Diego. So we switched countries right then and there. So it was a whole mix of things. So that, I think, also plays into my identity as an artist, is the fact that I'm an immigrant. I have dual citizenship. Yeah, in these two cultures, these two worlds, I've had to kind of, evolve a few different times.
And evolve they did. I'm trying to think about where I want to go next. I just lost my train of thought, sorry. We went to butterflies and bugs and boxes, and I went all boy, and I forgot everything. I think it's really cool that, kind of to dumb it down from how you said, but like that the way you feel that we are kind of just a little bit iterations of our grandparents or all of our generations of people. I think that's kind of what you said.
Yeah.
I really dig that kind of, and it makes sense. I don't know. I just think you said it just a little bit more eloquently than I've ever put it. Maybe that was it, but yeah, no, totally. Your grandfather would be totally using the AR in a headset right now. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I would hope so. And I have my grandfather coming to visit next month. Actually, it's this month now. So I'm definitely gonna get him to put on the headset and just try it.
That'll be cool. I've seen many videos of that, about different people using headsets for the first time, and especially when it's people that didn't grow up with that kind of thing and how they react to that sort of deal. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I do remember my dad telling me when the internet was first coming about, he was trying to explain to his father, my grandfather, about it. He's like, oh dude, and my grandpa was just like, what the hell are you talking about? So yeah, for him to use a phone now and FaceTime and all that stuff, it's like he's come a long way. He's ready for VR.
Absolutely. I'm really impressed with that when I do see folks. I don't personally have anybody in my life that's elderly that uses that stuff, but I love it when the older generations pick that up. Like my dad, I kind of expected that he would have to, and he does. He doesn't use it very well. But I mean, just thinking back when my grandparents were around, if they hadn't had one, I would have loved it. But it's funny, when I go to Italy, where the cell phone is a very common use, I love seeing a 90-year-old lady pull out a cell phone and texting someone like that. That's fucking awesome. As a side story, I just collected my first badge. I'm really happy. Dude, I've been trying since you mentioned it. I can't figure it out.
Oh man, well, congrats, Bits. And yeah, I don't know. You know what? If you can try doing it on your computer. I find a lot more success claiming badges on my computer than on my phone.
Well, I think because I logged in with Gmail and not with my Twitter account, so it said that I couldn't claim. So
I went with Twitter.
I'm still working on it.
I went with Twitter at first, and it wasn't letting me in, and then I went with my Gmail, and that's how I made it happen.
Okay, interesting. I think you can connect your Twitter after you have an account. I think you can go connect your Twitter, and then it'll register that you're in the room. I don't know the magic that goes on behind these scenes, y'all. I just know it works somehow. It knows that you're in the Twitter space. But yeah, if anyone has trouble claiming it, you just send me your awardable like username, and I can just send you like I can gift you a badge directly.
Okay.
If you have
So
trouble.
what is awardable? This is the first time I'm seeing or hearing this.
Yeah,
Give
it's
us, can you give us a short rundown?
yeah,
The apps?
kind of like POAPs. That's how I would describe it. Like the short rundown would be it's a way to collect and create badges like POAPs, you know. But also you can link them or you can mint them to any chain you want really easily. And kind of what sold me was because I was already making POAPs all the time. It takes like half of the time to create a badge. You know, like I could make a badge in like a minute, and POAPs, you have to fill out like 10 different things, tell them why you were hosting, what you needed these for, and yeah, so just ease of use. Honestly, is my takeaway here to give collectible things out. That's what it is.
Look at those little butterflies on there just flickering away. Damn.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, make a
It
little
says
gift.
It says I claimed 3. How the fuck is that even possible? No, it must be 3 in my wallet.
It might be 3 have been claimed.
Yeah, like I have 3. Oh, maybe that. I don't know. It's new to me. That's enough new technology for me while I'm on the old Twitter machine, or the X machine, I should say. How many times have we all said Twitter tonight? Like, how is this ever going to disappear? How is calling it the X or whatever the hell we're supposed to call it ever going to pan out?
I don't know.
Funny you should mention the words X disappearing. They had to tear down the giant light up sign on the top of the building and they already after like 2 days.
The eyesore?
Yeah, the eyesore. Happens when you don't get permits, people.
Yeah. I think it was too bright. I think that was the problem.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a giant nuisance, yeah.
Like there was like people living in the building across the street, right?
So now, do you think the planning department is ever going to give him a permit for anything on that building? Hell no. They're gonna drive him out of California again.
Oh.
True that. Easy one. He'll figure it out. Into California. He'll just do it anyways. As far as your art goes, do you have any influences? Do you have other artists that from the past, or I guess the present, that are influences to you? Is there, when you were doing physical clay creation, was there something you were designing it after?
I mean, I think there's one I see that stands out. But...
Well, she can answer that.
Yeah. I'll that's all for now.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I mean, no one specifically that I was trying to like emulate or recreate. But I mean, obviously, it's obvious to me anyway. Frida Kahlo has been always, an inspiration. Mainly, honestly, my grandmother and my great grandfather. My grandma, aside from doing butterfly art, she does upcycling and like found objects and turning them into something completely different. She's been doing that for ages, so that's always been an inspiration for me to take an object that someone would deem maybe trash, or just even if it's not trash, it could just be something that stands alone, but together mixed with something else, making art from something like that. So anyone who does anything like that, has been an inspiration. Outside of Frida Kahlo, no one in particular, to be honest. One thing that I do want to point out, and maybe this is what One Wheel was thinking, was I do have a sculpture specifically that I made. That was one of the other representational ones, where I did kind of like an homage to Frida Kahlo. And so let me see if I can pull that up and pin it. But yeah, outside of that, not too many although I did get a chance to study a lot of painters when I was doing live drawing. So during school, I took about 3 different live art classes where we had a model come in, and you would have sometimes only 30 seconds to draw a pose they were holding. Sometimes we'd have like an hour. I actually modeled once, not nude, but for class, and it was just as unnerving as I could possibly handle. But yes, sitting still is actually really hard. But yeah, no, I'd say Frida Kahlo is my main one. She's my main lady. Maybe Andy Warhol on some level. But yeah, that's what I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. No, the universe had its path for you, and you're forging it.
Thank you.
I thought I saw a lot of Georgia O'Keeffe kind of influence in there.
Oh, okay.
This is why we ask the artists and not just assume things.
Well, I will say, we had to study all sorts of artists when I did my painting classes. So I took a few painting classes as well during school. So I've looked at everybody's art, or not everyone's, but a lot of art. And I had to take art history. Actually, funny story. I had to take art history 3 times because I am so bad at memorizing things, names and dates. And like that was like the main thing when it came to these art classes, right? And so I've seen a lot of art, and I feel kind of like every single thing you see at any given point becomes part of your inspiration, right? Whether you know it or not. Like I think it's more of a subconscious thing, right? And so I feel like a lot of artists that I may be inspired by, I just don't remember their names or the title of their works, or that it's their work specifically, because I've just seen it in passing and with my brain, which is very unreliable when it comes to dates and things like that. Yeah, it's just I just don't know, but I've seen it. I also took photography, history of photography, and my professor was the director of photography of the Museum of Photography in San Diego. And so he went down like so many rabbit holes, and that really actually inspired me too, that class specifically. And I mean, that guy knew Ansel Adams and like all of these like insane photographers, which is something that I kind of dabble in but don't focus on, but that definitely influences my work as well.
I like that photography that you dabble in, but you don't focus on. That was totally I like that.
That was unintentional. See, it's just subconscious now.
That was cheesy. I just went total dad on that. I had a joke on that. I liked it. Ansel Adams. There's a name I haven't heard in a while, man. When I was growing up in the 80s, when I was a kid in the 80s, I remember everybody had an Ansel Adams in their house.
So speaking of, that's why we went through Yosemite on the way home, was because the condo that we were staying at had an Ansel Adams picture of Bridal Veil Falls. And we were like, you know what? All of a sudden we've got an issue. We need to go through there and see it on the way home.
Yeah, that's amazing.
There you go. Ansel Adams.
Have you, so since you've been doing this, since your first live event that you had in New York in 2021, I think you said?
Yep, November 2021.
How's it been going now? Has it been, like, did you do many events? How many events have you done? That's a better question.
Okay, I think the count is at about 26, maybe 27. It's been going good. The bear market definitely has been hitting. People and events don't quite have the budgets for entertainment at their events like they used to in the bear market. I will say that. But, I did get a chance to perform in a metaverse in Decentraland last month, and that was a paid gig. So that was really cool, finding different ways of performing, without having to physically travel. is nice. But yeah, I'm just kind of figuring it out as I go. But yeah, I'm having fun with it. And with the Apple headset coming out next year, like I definitely am trying to find a way to maybe collaborate with them and try that out and see what kind of cool ways I can kind of up level the experience with that.
Ooh, that's huge. Is that what we're going now? I've been waiting all day. Is that what we're talking about now? Or are we going to come back to that? Send it, Willie. Send it, Willie. No, it's like, so what hardware did you start out on? Did you start out on a first Oculus Quest, or?
Yeah, I guess it was the second, right? So it was the Oculus Meta Quest 2. Yeah, the 2.
So then, what are you using now that you said is like mixed reality that you can see outside? Is that still Quest 2, or are you using something different?
Yeah, thanks. Good question. So the Meta Quest 2 actually can do mixed reality, but it doesn't do it great, and it's just black and white. And so I have the Meta Quest Pro, which shout out to Meta because they did give it to me, I guess as a gift, when I did the Paris Hilton event, actually, because they were the title sponsor for that event. It was Meta and I think Proto Hologram, which was there. And so yeah, I got to get it like maybe 2 months after it came out, and I got to keep it. So that's what I've been using. Those are the two I have.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the new Apple hardware?
Well, I think it looks great. I mean, I obviously haven't gotten to use it, but I have talked to a couple of people who got to use it, and they said it's amazing. Seems like people can't say much about it at this point, but yeah, I'm freaking stoked. Honestly, I've been an Apple kind of advocate since the 6th grade. We're going back to 6th grade, right? The museum school had those Macs, those like the original iMac computers that were like oval shaped at the back and the see-through like color. Y'all remember that, right? So they had those at the school. Yeah. So that was my inception point, right? They got me early. After that, somehow, some way, I got a free Mac. That was like my first computer that I kind of had. That felt more like my computer. And it was one of those, like, it was an orange one, or was it blue? God, I don't remember. But anyway, and so from there, then the iPhone came out, and I was obsessed. Spent my first paycheck to buy an iPhone, and that was like the reason why I even was most motivated to get my first job, was just to have a phone like that. And then it was so expensive to have the phones back then, right? You had to pay for minutes and like all this stuff, and then data, right? So that was my first foray into Apple, and I never looked back since. I haven't had any phone besides an iPhone, I think, since I started like around 16 years old. So, and I use a Mac still now. I've got the pink Mac. I'm obsessed. I can't tell you enough how much I want to be a brand ambassador. I'm like, if Apple's listening, please come find me.
Please, I hope they're listening. Yeah, Big Apple, bring us all. Please send this interview to them. By the way, this show is written and produced on a Apple Mini. And 3 iPhones. No, actually, as a matter of fact, we've got I've got 2 iPhones in front of me, an iPad, my Mac Mini.
Are you wearing AirPods too?
No, they don't work. None of that shit works in my ears. I can't. Yeah, they don't fit my ears, unfortunately. I gotta go with sister brand Beats.
Okay, it's still in the ecosystem. That's fine.
Yeah, gotta have that M1 chip, Gotta have that M1 chip.
Yeah, but all jokes aside, I'm all about it. And like I don't know if I mentioned, it might have been in a different space, but I got started like the job, right, that I did to get through school and even after, right, was promotional marketing, like where I would be a brand ambassador, and I've done that for like over 50 different brands, like all the biggest brands that you've heard of, right? And so like for me to be like, hey, Apple, I want to be a brand ambassador, that is like, I'm not just like saying that out of the blue, like I like have done it, like I'd be down, and I actually really like them. So yeah, it's not just like, I wouldn't do it for any brand at this point. Like now I'm a lot more selective, but that one definitely is in alignment.
Well, that's what we need. We need help being brand ambassadors. We just want a couple free Dynamaps.
Couple free
Oh
Dynamaps.
shit! I mentioned the name. Damn it! I have not been mentioning their name.
I could go for some sparkling water.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
No, I like one of the reasons I bring up about the new, I don't even remember what they're calling it, Apple Eyes. I don't know. Is the price tag really threw a bunch of people off, and it didn't throw me off though. I thought, that's a lot of hardware and it's still wireless. So I was kind of wondering like your thoughts on that, and like a lot of people also had the thought of, with the mixed reality recording and the way that they promoted it, it was very Black Mirror-y. I don't know if you remember some of those episodes, but it was very like, wow, we really are going to live inside the headsets now. This is getting kind of weird. So
Yeah.
I was wondering your thoughts on some of that.
Okay. I feel like there was a few questions there. I'll go on price first. Yeah, I mean, $3,500. I mean, okay, it's $3,499. Okay. Yeah, I mean, for any person, I feel like most people make about $3,000 a month, if that. So I mean, yeah, it just, when you look at it from that perspective, it's a lot. Compared to the MetaQuest Pro, which was their first starting price was $1,799, like $1,799, which also is a lot, right? But it's Apple. I mean, I don't know. Personally, I don't have it to spend it. So even if I wanted to buy it, which I do want to buy it, I can't right now, right? It's out of my price range. So I guess I could be a little bit salty about that, but I'm a realist, and I like to think of everything from both points of view, right? So one side says that's too expensive. The other side says, well, like the computer, a MacBook could go for 3,000 as well, like depending on how much storage you add to it, if what chip you want. Like if you want to get the best of the best that they offer in terms of a computer, how much are you going for? How much are you spending, right?
Well, I think part of the hard selling point on price was the fact that they're not selling it as a standalone computer, not selling it as a Mac replacement. They're selling it more as a Mac accessory.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah, for sure.
I think that hits kind of hard to some people.
Yeah, and I'm not defending their price. Like I said, it's out of my price range, so I'm not stoked about it. But at the same time, I did hear that they filed like, I don't know, like 1,000 or more patents that went into this tech. So I mean, just like the amount of tech, I think that's proprietary that's going into this. Like when you look at it from that point of view, I mean, I'd say it's well worth it. Do I think I'm going to buy it? Probably not. Like, I think the only way I'm going to get it is if I can get some kind of partnership, because that is just like, yeah, way too much. But I see why they did it. I get it, and on a side note, MetaQuest Pro just said that they're not going to continue doing development on the Pro. So like now they're going to be the only ones. Like they're going to be the main contender. So they kind of get to set the price, I guess.
Yeah, because I think I don't have a lot of experience with like standalone headsets like HTC Vive or anything like that. I've used a couple of them, but I think most of those aren't running their own software. They're from what I know, they're basically just a screen extension for your PC, which is great for certain gaming. But when it comes to like anything else that's outside of gaming that you can put together, like it's just a Windows extension, right? Or sorry, a screen extension. As where with the Apple, it's got its own ecosystem already built in. It's got its own app, its own software, user interface. All of that is all Apple, which even if you can't justify the price on the hardware alone, that's a lot of what you're paying for.
Yeah.
My thoughts. And if Meta is, they were the only other ones that had their own UI. So if they're stopping development and basically just going with the cheap gaming version, then Apple will be going on the market. And going back to all the patents filed, I think some of those patents go back like almost 10 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too.
Yeah, it's not like they just filed them last week or anything like that. It's been in development for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. But that being said, Apple, you got any promo codes? Hit us up. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see what happens. I'm excited to shoot my shot with them. And yeah, in the meantime, I'll keep using the MetaQuest Pro. It's got a lot of cool qualities. I'm rocking with it, but yeah, I haven't tried any other headsets. I tried the HTC Vive once, but it was just, like a very short, 20-minute session at an event. So I don't have much experience outside of the headsets that I own. But I'm hopeful. I'm always open to being a beta tester if any VR companies are looking. And yeah.
That's where folks, like everybody that's listening out here, she's looking towards Apple, but she's also open to other offers. If people want to send this fantastic lady some headsets, maybe that one mystery listener that's down there that we don't know who it is, maybe they're listening right now and going, yeah, we should start boxing up some headsets and send them out to the Night Train and Creatress before she signs with Apple.
Let's go. Exactly.
I mean, we could go full digital, full VR on the Night Train. I'm all right with that.
Everybody put on your goggles. It's time to jump on the Night Train. Right? Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I like it.
We could do it. Right, do it.
But
honestly, if the Quest 2 could spot dog shit in my lawn, that probably already would be. But, I don't want to have to like mark it beforehand every Tuesday.
oh my gosh. Yeah, I think you're way ahead of your time, man. I actually, this reminds me of a question that I didn't answer. Hold on. The VR, you were asking if we're all going to be living in these, right? Because of what's going on, and I don't think we ever are. Like, I don't think headsets are ever going to be something that people wear around until they make actual like legit sunglasses type of interface and headgear. Like, it's not a heavy thing. And I think we still have a lot of time until that happens. And even then, people aren't going to wear their sunglasses all the time. Just like even people who wear glasses to see don't wear their glasses all the time. At some point or another, you're going to take them off your face for whatever reason. So yeah, I think we're pretty far from everybody being in VR all the time, if that ever even happens.
Thank goodness, because I don't have VR set yet. I'd be like out here living real life, and everybody else would be like, "Isn't this amazing?"
Yeah. We wouldn't want to leave you behind. So don't worry. You're good. You're good.
I'm good. Thank God. Everybody's taking pity on the Canadian.
On that note, though, I do have to jump and go have some dinner, or rather make some dinner before I have it. So I do want to, say thank you so much for having me. This was fun. Sorry about the power outage intermission.
Well, I want to talk about glass blowing. Dang it.
Oh man, yeah, there's so much to talk about. Yeah, we didn't touch on glass blowing, but I mean, I could share a little bit about it. I'll say, I got a chance to learn glass blowing. I took a few semesters when I lived in San Bernardino. I think I talked about that, maybe. No, I didn't talk about that in this space, but I was talking about that earlier today. For about a year and a half, I lived in this place called San Bernardino, and the community college there had a glass blowing studio. So I got to take glass design, which was more of fusing glass, slumping glass, using a kiln and glass, making pendants, things like that. Stained glass too. I learned how to make stained glass and beads. That was kind of the intro. And then I kind of got, encouraged by my teacher to try the glass blowing, which I had just been like staring at from far away and never really considered doing because it looked way like beyond my comprehension, to be honest. So anyway, I went for it. I did it, and I kind of fell in love with it. It is the most hardcore art form that I have found. It is kind of like performance art on some level, except there's not always an audience, which is fine, but it's still a performance. Like you still have to, really be focused. You're completely, not thinking about anything else besides what happens next, the next step, and then there's the science, and then it feels like a sport. Like to me, glass blowing is the sport of the art world. Like only the most fit people can do it because it's hot as heck. So you need to be able to withstand heat. You need to be able to, be able-bodied. So that is one kind of barrier to entry when it comes to glass blowing. It's like you have to be able to like move around within like tight quarters, and you need to be relatively strong enough to carry a pipe, which is usually about 5 pounds, maybe, but it can easily get up to like 15 pounds if you're adding glass to the tip of it, which that's, what glass blowing is. So it is a workout. You end up sweating, like drenched at the end. You have to take breaks so you don't pass out. It's a whole thing. And so as an athlete, when I was little, I was obsessed with running. I used to race all the time. I was obsessed with winning. And thankfully I was really fast, so that worked out. But I was also really like committed to working out. So I would go to practice every freaking day and run like 3 miles since the day I was like 6 years old until I was about 11. Actually, until I was 10 and we moved to the US, and then that went down the window. But anyway, that's just to say I've always had a lot of energy, and I've always liked to have a physical component to anything I do. And so glass blowing is the best, but it is expensive. It uses a lot of resources, and it's not easy to find a place to practice. So it is one of the most impractical art forms that I've ever done.
Do you have a favorite piece of glass that you've made?
Yeah, I do. Have a couple, honestly. God, that's like asking what's your favorite artwork. Yeah, I have a couple. One of them is this really cool triangle. I guess it's like a plate, and it's like purple, a see-through purple at the bottom, and then above, like on the top layer, it's like a nice dichroic layer, which is this like really shiny, like kind of translucent. Well, maybe not translucent, but it's just like every color, every different angle you look at it from, it looks like a different color. So that one, and then most recently I made a fish here in Maui with my partner and one of my best friends. So that was like our first kind of glass collaboration. So that's my other second favorite right now. Yeah.
I love that word dichroic. I haven't heard somebody say that in so long.
Dichro, man.
Well, it's. I was gonna say a good example of it, Willie, is like when you look at oil on top of water.
Yeah. Okay.
Being to it, like that's.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know it from the live industry, from lighting. You always had dichroic filters.
Oh.
I just Google it, kids.
Yeah, for sure. It's a cool material to work with. It's fun, especially if you like those little effects with the light.
Just before you go, if you don't mind, for anybody that's been listening this evening, this is definitely a good point in time. If anybody had a question or comment that they wanted to throw out to Creatress before we let her go and cook her dinner and feed her family, that would be a good time to pop on up if you had it. If not, no. I know Pong was down there giving 100% with everything they were saying about glass blowing.
Yeah, I was going to ask her, do you know our homie Pong down there?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to shout out Pong and Laser, and Jen and Teepee. They're the homies, amazing artists, all in their own right. And Pong specifically, he is a glass blowing master. So yeah, he's one of my people that I guess I'm inspired by. You know, I know you were asking earlier in terms of VR, but I guess in terms of sculpting physical objects, yeah, Pong's definitely on my list of artists that I look up to. He's out there actually doing glass blowing all the time, which I'm a little jealous, I gotta be honest. But yeah.
Hell yeah. Shout out to Pong out there on the East Coast. Late night out there, even, and Jen as well. All the East Coasters stay up late to listen to us. We put them asleep. I think that's what we do. We're Fendel, my man, you popped up there with the microphone. How you doing, sir?
Oh, great show, everybody, and really enjoyed the interview. Hey, I was wondering what music informs your art, and I was just kind of curious. What do you love?
Oh, thank you for the question, and yeah, the kind words. The music is interesting. Actually, I've considered sharing my playlists from each performance just so people get an idea. But yeah, I like all types of music. I actually usually start with a like an indigenous kind of sounding song. I believe it's actually a Brazilian song that I use pretty often. I don't remember the name right now. But yeah, so I start with like a song that has like bird sounds and like jungle kind of sounds, which is interesting. But the reason why is because I'm so inspired by nature. Like I live around nature. I always have on some level. So yeah, I start usually with kind of like a meditative music that slowly ramps up, drum beats, kind of like indigenous drum beats and sounds like that. Yeah, that's kind of where I start, and then I go all over the place. Like I put in some oldies. ABBA is one of the things that I really like, one of the bands and sounds. So I throw in some of that. I like remixes a lot. So a lot of my music that I pick ends up being like something that's sampled, from a long time ago. I like EDM. There's EDM in there. There's Beyonce is always there because Beyonce is one of the people that I have on my like bucket list that I would like to perform with or like to make some art during one of her concerts. That is like one of my ultimate kind of like bucket list items, right? Or collaborations. So yeah, a little bit of that. Martin Garrix sometimes. I'm trying to think actual like artist names. Yeah, Beyonce, Martin Garrix, Zed. I believe I did a couple times. Selena. I had a performance in Mexico once, and that was all Spanish music for that one. It was for ETH Global actually, and most of the people there spoke English, but I didn't. I just really wanted to get in touch with the place, and my family was there, so it was great. That was like mainly cumbia type of music. So yeah, it varies. It really varies. I think I'll say one last thing. I guess I'll say is like at the core of it, it's music that makes me want to get up and dance and create. Like there's some songs that are undeniable. Like it's playing, and no matter where you are, you're like, oh, like if like it might take a second, but eventually you tune in and you're like in it, and it's making you like bob your head or dance, or like it's got to have that factor to it, and that's where I kind of set the bar. So it could be anything as long as it makes me feel that way.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Really, that's so awesome, and congratulations. And it's great to hang out and share the conversation a little bit. Cheers.
Yeah. Thank you for coming. Really, really appreciate that. And yeah, that's a great question, because I actually just spend a lot of time curating the playlists, and I hope that people dance. Like I tell people in my performance, like I hope you guys are dancing around me. And I have been in a performance once where there was a dance cipher like happening around me. So it was like, oh my god, that was the ultimate experience for me. It's just to have, and the dancers were interacting with me, and that was just next level. So the music is like a huge part of it.
I just learned recycle weeks ago.
Nice. You're a dancer?
No. No, shadow music had to inform me what it was.
Oh, okay. Well, that's dope. Hey, we come out of our shells slowly but surely. Maybe at a performance of mine one day, you'll come out of your shell and dance.
Hell yeah. Come on, homie. You were dancing at the
Yeah. If we're doing some performance stuff, yeah, I'm not just dancing around my backyard though. I walk calmly so I can engage in conversation.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
No, it's hot out here.
It just
I just have one last question before you go, and it's you said that you did a live VR performance. So, like, what's the best way to be in the loop and know when you're doing it, where we can find those things online and things like that we can all attend?
Yeah, great question. I would say my website, if you go sign up for my newsletter, that's where I put out announcements about events. Of course, Twitter is a great place, but I don't know about you guys, but I don't see all of my friends' tweets. So I will absolutely, anytime I have an event, I'll tweet, I'll put it on my Instagram. But if you don't want to rely on the algos, yeah, definitely just subscribe to my newsletter, and I'll be sharing there the next event. So yeah, I think for now, Miami in December 8th to the 10th is my next. Yeah, that's where I'm kind of focusing right now.
You have something lined up for Basel already?
I have an opportunity to perform somewhere, but it's not exactly the perfect opportunity. I would need to find some sponsors for that. So maybe that, but I'm also open to if there's any events that are interested in booking. I'm actively planning that trip. So yeah, I'm all ears. I'm looking for some sponsors, to come out and do some performances. In 2021, I did 4 performances during Miami Basel week, and I'd like to do that again if I can. I will do as many as I possibly can in the time that I'm there. So yeah, that's the plan.
Apple will sponsor all those, so we can all get headsets, right?
That would be amazing.
Yeah, I'll dance and draw shittily next to you.
I was gonna say we gotta get Wagme Wines. Wagme Wines gotta get fired up, but Poke Shaman's not in here anymore.
Yeah, I'll let you guys know, but yeah, the search is on. I'm starting to put the feelers out. I do have someone who's already reached out and said that they'd be open to sponsoring. So yeah, it's just a matter of figuring out exactly what event I'm gonna show up at, and bring my energy to, and yeah, but I'm here for it. That's my next projected performance, but also, you know, I can do live performances in the metaverse too. So if anybody's got a plot or a online event, you know, I can send you, you know, a performance. Like I can record that and send it over, and it's like it's pretty wild what you can do now with mixed reality. So I'm leaning into that as well as I spend more time here at home in these next few months.
That's exciting. I was totally wondering when I was going to be able to, you know, I was going to go, man, I hope we get to see you someday. But the fact that you say that you may be in Miami, that you're going to be in Miami this year, that's dope. We'll be in Miami.
Oh, nice. Well, yeah, let's chat. I'd love to collaborate with anybody that's going to be out there. See what we can do.
Belly dance.
Yeah, please belly dance nearby me, but just not too close. Yeah, no, I'm excited. I think it's going to be a good time this year, and it'll be nice that I'll be nice and rested. You know, last year it was like November, New York, and then December, Miami, and that was just a little too much. That was 2021, but yeah, it was a little too fast. I'm excited to properly plan ahead of time for this year.
Not ready for the full-on rock star tour yet. And show every night.
Yeah, you know, I'm cool. I'm down. I just don't want to make another trip. Like once I make it there, I'll perform as many times as I can. But it's just the whole trip situation. Like I'm cool with just Basel for right now. Yeah.
That's a very long ways for you. I mean, you consider people that come from the West Coast that go to the East Coast, and then you add that extra, you know, 3 hours onto it or however, whatever it adds to. That's 6 hours. 5.5, 6.
Yeah, it's about 5. It's about 5 hour to 6, depending on the wind from Maui to the West Coast, and then from there, yeah, you got your other, you know, 6 hours or something crazy to go across the whole country. Yeah.
Well, I went to Hawaii from Vegas, so everything was a blur. So I guess, wow, was that long to me?
Yeah, and that's why I slowed down a little bit here in the second half of the year with the travel, because I just you know, like ever since I moved here last year, I've traveled like every other month, and I really want to like enjoy it here. So yeah, and it takes a long time, and if you're traveling for 12 hours and you know are uncomfortable in a seat, it's just not, it takes the whole glamour and exciting part of traveling. I'll tell you what, when you're traveling more than 10 hours anywhere. So yeah, I'm excited to kind of do less trips but more performances at each trip, you know, really maximize my time.
How long have you been out in Hawaii?
Just since last year. We moved July 3rd last year. So yeah, just settling in.
Locals still hate you.
Yeah, totally.
The ones that have only been there for 10 years, they still hate you.
Yeah, exactly.
You shouldn't have the time as we have here on the island.
Yeah. No, thankfully, most people are super nice. And I just, you know, I spend most of my time at home making art anyway, so it's not too bad. But yeah, people are nice. I go to the farmers market every week, and everybody there is really nice and welcoming. So I feel very lucky. Yeah, and I'm used to being the outsider. You know, I moved to the United States from Mexico. Like I've dealt with people not wanting me to be there before, sadly. But yeah, it's all good. I think anyone, you know, is in their right to be protective of the place that they live and that their ancestors, you know, live and come from. Like I think that's okay. I understand it, you know, because I've been there, you know, people move to Mexico all the time as nomads and things like that. And it makes me feel some type of way, you know, not to the point where I would say anything to anyone. I think people are free to live wherever they choose. But yeah, I get it. And I'm just happy to be here, honestly. Very grateful.
Well, you're good people. We need more of your soul floating through this universe.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me, guys. This was fun.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you giving us your time. I wanted to have you on for a little bit because seeing what you do is really awesome, and it's very original, and it's definitely all you, 100%. And I think you're doing a great thing. You got a very good positive vibe to you. 100% appreciate you giving us some of your time just before dinner to hang out with us and to share some of your story. There's a lot of story there that now that we've spoken to you, it's like I have a page and a half of stuff here where I'm going, man, we need to talk to you again someday. So hopefully someday you'll be able to chat with us again for sure.
Yeah, and thank you so much. That's very kind. You know, and yeah, there's definitely a lot to go into. You know, I feel like we this was a great intro. And we didn't even talk about. I saw you 3D printed a coaster with my name on it. That was like mind blowing, by the way. Yeah, that's amazing. I was really stoked to see that. I was like, that is next level, guys. So yeah, thank you for making me feel special.
Absolutely. Well, you definitely are. 100%. You're one of the special people in the space, along with a lot of other folks that are in here. We're not going to keep you any longer. You can definitely head off and prepare your meal for the night and have a good, relaxing evening and get to bed early.